Hey, what's up, everybody? I am your gracious co-host, Mr. J. Stokes, or you could just call me J. Stokes, no need for formal titles. Anyways, our other co-host, Mr. J. Random, is not able to join us tonight, so I will be running the show solo. So for today, the title of the podcast is called Picking Up the Pieces. Here we're going to be talking about some news stories with some recent controversies that have happened regarding certain entities and certain people, and we're going to figure out whether or not they can pick up the pieces and regroup, or we're going to figure out if we can piece together a portrait or a image picture of that person or entity, basically describing who or what they actually are. So in case you don't know, this is AVIOT. AVIOT stands for Atypical Voices in Our Time. We are the official podcast of Chemistry Productions. Chemistry Productions, that's spelled K3MISTRY Productions. And this is a company that stresses media education and media literacy, specifically in teenagers and young adults. So that just gets that out the way. For today, we're going to be picking up the pieces with certain stories. So for our first story, I actually wanted to highlight President Donald J. Trump. I still have a cough because of this stupid cold that will not go away. I fell asleep with the AC on like a couple of weeks back, and I'm just suffering every day trying to get over it. But that's besides the point. So for our first story, President Donald J. Trump, he's in the news as usual. I mean, he is the president. But this time it's for something that's terribly, terribly, terribly wrong. Well, that's not surprising either, but that's besides the point. His former aide, Omarosa Manigault Newman, actually is coming out with a tell-all book that is talking about President Trump and accusing him of being a racist. Now, for those of you who don't know, Miss Omarosa was actually kicked out of the White House because she had a disagreement with the president and his staff. So in response to this, President Trump praised his chief of staff, John Kelly, for, quote-unquote, quickly firing that dog. And this has a lot of people up in awe that he referred to Omarosa, who is a black woman, as a dog. This gives a lot of people fuel to say that he is indeed a racist, and others say that I don't know if this is enough to to paint the picture of him as an actual racist person. But let's look at President Trump's track record. For the record, he has called another woman a dog before, and this was the Huffington Post founder, Ariana Huffington. He's referred to her as a dog before, according to this story that I am reading right now in I think the Washington Express. That's where it is. Probably not the Washington Express, but whatever. So that's one side of the story. Then there's another side where President Trump has been criticized by a lot of people for just referring to black people in general as just in derogatory ways. For example, he's recently called out NBA star LeBron James and TV journalist Don Lemon for being not intelligent. He said that LeBron James isn't that intelligent, and this came at a time where LeBron James actually opened up a school called the I Promise School in his home state of Ohio, which is to help disenfranchised and marginalized children. He's also called Representative Maxine Waters of California not intelligent as well, stating that she has a low IQ. Both LeBron James and Don Lemon, as well as Maxine Waters, are black individuals. Adding to this, there was one time where he actually seemingly defended or took up for protesters, white supremacist protesters that were protesting in Charlottesville last year in August, saying that they included some very fine people. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't say that there are any very fine white supremacists. If you're trying to say that you are supreme over other people and you want to harm other people, I don't think you're very fine. So with that being said, this adds to this whole pot in which people are calling President Trump a racist. Now let's put together the pieces here. If you have on one end, he's calling some white supremacists very fine people. Oh, and I forgot to add, he has criticized on many occasions NFL players for kneeling during the national anthem, which is a protest against police brutality and social injustices. He's called them out and has not had their back on that, whereas our previous president, President Barack Hussein Obama, has said, hey, NFL players have the right to do whatever they want. He actually was in support of these NFL players exercising their First Amendment rights, while President Trump seemingly is not. So you have that going on. You have him calling some white supremacists very fine people. You have him calling Omarosa a dog. You have him questioning the intelligence of black individuals. But he doesn't seem to do this with white individuals. And when we put together a picture, it seems that the arrows are pointing in the direction of he might be a racist. I'm not going to claim that. I'm just saying that this is what the arrows are pointing in the direction of. So that's the piece, that's the puzzle we just put together with that. So another story, geez, I'm sorry for coughing so much. Another story that we pieced together a puzzle on is in regards to Catholic priests. So a story recently came out that more than 1,000 children were molested by hundreds of Roman Catholic priests in 6 Pennsylvania dioceses, where while senior church officials took steps to cover this up. So you know the stereotype. Well, you should know there is a stereotype out there that priests tend to molest children or tend to molest the kids in their congregation. This story right here proves that point. It seems every year you hear another story of a priest molesting a child, and this story was just terrible. The priests that were found guilty or that were under suspicion of doing these terrible things molested both boys and girls. The abuse ranged from groping to masturbation to anal, oral, and vaginal rape. So that is terrible. So we pieced together this picture, and you have to look at it like the stereotype about priests, Catholic priests. Is this actually true? Obviously, it's not going to apply to everyone because there's always a generalization, and then not everybody fits into that mold. But certain stereotypes hold some weight, and this stereotype is seemingly true. And it's very terrible. So we pieced that picture together, and it seems like this stereotype is going to stick with priests from going forward. And the worst thing about it is, with this finding of these priests molesting over 1,000 children, it seems that the cover-up was by senior church officials in Pennsylvania as well as at the Vatican. And the last time I checked, the Pope has been silent about this matter. So I really hope that the families can find justice for what has been going on, and that someone pays for these crimes, because this is indeed ridiculous. Children shouldn't have to be suffering by the hands of these higher officials. And another thing I wanted to mention, when it comes to churches in general or people with religious backgrounds in high positions, we have to be aware of these individuals abusing their power. It's never a good thing to use religion as a way to influence people in a negative manner. So for a priest, it's not a great thing, well, it's a terrible thing to use that position as an excuse to say, oh, well, let me touch these kids, or let me do whatever I want to these kids. You're using this book, because I assume they follow the Bible. I'm not Catholic, but they're using whatever religious text they have in order to justify what they're doing. And there needs to be some regulation on that. There needs to be something done, because kids that are molested, they grow up and they a lot of times have terrible lives. They might have suicidal thoughts. They might feel like they're worthless. They might feel like they don't need to live. And we cannot have a society where kids are growing up and being abused like this. Obviously, as I told you before, Chemistry Productions stresses media literacy in teens and young adults. So younger populations are our main focus. And pretty much that's my take on that story. So another story that I wanted to focus on was Matt Lauer. For those of you who don't know, Matt Lauer used to work at, let me make sure I get this thing right. Matt Lauer used to work on the Today Show as a host, and he was fired, I think it was last year or earlier this year. I'm definitely not doing too well today. I definitely need Jay Random. But he was fired recently due to claims of alleged inappropriate sexual behavior in the workplace. His ex-wife, Nancy Alspaughh, I think that's how you spell it, Alspaughh, believes that Matt Lauer deserves a second chance. And the reason why is because she said he's a good father to their children, and he's done a lot of great things for charity. For example, he donated to her charity, which deals with autism. And if he's willing to apologize for his actions, then he should be able to have a second chance in the news world, in the media world, and what have you. So let's look at this. Let's pick up the pieces on this. Do you think Matt Lauer can piece together his life again? Do you think it's possible for him to not necessarily start anew, but to regain people's trust and to go through with hosting and being on the news once again? He definitely won't be on the Today Show anymore, but maybe he can have the ability to pursue journalism or be a host once again. Obviously, he's always going to have this stain on him for his sexual misconduct in the workplace, but maybe he should get a second chance. Actually, I just did a video, and it's going to be posting soon on the Chemistry Productions YouTube channel, talking about ex-convicts and how ex-convicts, when they're released from prison or they're no longer incarcerated, they have a hard time finding work. They have a hard time finding jobs, and because of that, that can lead them down a dark path to committing crime again because they need to make ends meet. They need to get money. So I was arguing in that video, and it should come out at some point later this week, that these individuals should have a second chance at life. And so with Matt Lauer, obviously he committed a horrible act by engaging in sexual misconduct in the workplace. Maybe he should have a second chance. Who knows? So maybe he could piece his life together, but only time will tell with that. For the last story that I actually wanted to talk about today, it's only 4 stories a day. Usually Jay Random can drag the stories out because he's so random and he's just all over the place, but I'm pretty much straightforward and to the point. But for our last story today, we're going to be talking about the University of Maryland. So the University of Maryland has been in the news lately, and because they are taking legal and moral responsibility for mistakes that they made in treating a 19-year-old football player who collapsed during practice in May and died 2 weeks later. This football player was named Jordan McNair, and he died on June 13th due to complications from extreme exhaustion and heat stroke after a workout with the University of Maryland football team. So as a result of this, many people have been placed on administrative leave, and some people have resigned. For example, Rick Court, who was the strength and conditioning coach for this team, was placed on leave on August 12th, and he resigned the next day. And reports came out soon after saying that he was very abusive and that he forced players to do things that they didn't really want to, and he belittled players as well. No, I take that back. That was actually the head football coach who was accused of that. Sorry, I'm mixing up things. Yes, Rick Court resigned, but the head football coach was the one that was actually abusive, and he was placed on administrative leave on August 11th. There's no word that he's been fired yet, but this is a very tricky situation. The school, high officials at the school, they actually spoke to Mr. McNair's parents about the issue, and the parents seem to have forgiven them, but obviously you're always going to be hurt if you lose a child. So let's look at the University of Maryland now. Do you think they can pick up the pieces and reform their organization? Do you think they can get themselves back on a good footing with parents, a good footing with the world, really, because now there's a stain on that school's reputation regarding their football program because of what happened? I think as a result of this, what's going to happen is you're going to have the football program and even other sports programs at the University of Maryland looking into their practices and looking into how they treat players and what their protocols are like. They're also going to look into how coaches treat their players. So you never know. There might be some undercover people that look to see if coaches are throwing things at players or belittling them in a major way. So we can only hope for the best. And to Mr. McNair's parents, we send our thoughts and prayers your way. So that's pretty much it for the stories. I could definitely talk about a whole bunch of other stories, but I need to focus on chemistry right now. So with Chemistry Productions has a lot of different outlets that we use to communicate to different people. Lately, we've been a little backed up on stories because of everything that's been going on. We are short-staffed. So because of that, we're unable to really hone in and deliver things in a timely manner all the time. We tend to be good, like tonight and the night before. We've been pretty good with this podcast, but don't be surprised if one day it's just like, hey, we're taking a break today. We'll see you next week. Obviously, people need breaks, but with Chemistry Productions, we do the best we can to serve the community, to educate you all about the media out there via our Tumblr page, via our web blog, the Tit for Tat web blog, via our YouTube channel. And we thank you to our followers and our listeners who support us thus far. Now, with Chemistry Productions has two subsidiaries. We have a music subsidiary and we have a book publishing subsidiary. Our book publishing subsidiary is called Dokta Book Publishing. That's spelled DOE space KTAH. And I know you're wondering, what kind of name is that? I actually came up with that name. I'm actually the CEO of Chemistry Productions along with being the co-founder of Chemistry Productions with Jay Random. And Dokta is really my take on the word doctor. Because I actually got my doctorate last year, and I just wanted to kind of play on that word. And Dokta Book Publishing was established at the end of last year. So far, we have 2 books out. One is called Pathway to Heaven, and the other one is called A Numbers Game. And these 2 books are to help youth understand their pathways in life and understand how to operate in this world that we're in. We have many more books that are on the way, but obviously it takes some time because they are self-published and they're illustrations. So illustrating pictures to these books takes some time. With our music subsidiary, that's called Conchess Records. That's CON-CHESS-Records. You can find that on YouTube. You can find that on Facebook as well. Conchess Records, we have many projects out. We have a mixtape that was carried over from Chemistry Productions. Chemistry Productions actually used to be strictly music until it split into the 3 different entities, the Chemistry Productions parent company and the 2 subsidiaries. And so we have a mixtape, we have an album, we have another album that we're fixing up, and we have singles. So one of the singles that I actually wanted to play for you tonight just recently came out. It's called She Got Game by the singer Mulo. And I think you all will definitely like it. We were trying to push it to be a summer jam this year, and hopefully it can catch some traction, and hopefully people can gravitate towards it. So without further ado, I'm going to play She Got Game, and I will be back with you shortly.
I feel the summertime hot right now. Single as a vagabond looking uptown. Used to being treated like my heart don't matter. One too many stories, but enough of the chatter. Now I'm happy. I'm feeling free to take control of my life, and I'm just happy. No one but me can control my heart. This too shall pass. When it went down, I never thought I'd get back, and now I'm here. I have no fear. I got my shit together, and you've been missing out, boy. Look at the waist. You wanna taste? Come eat the cake. You gotta chase. I'm reclaiming my time. Yeah, you know I'm fine, boy. You be watching me whine. I'm one of a kind. My melanin popping. so good. Now I'm happy. I'm feeling free to take control of my life, and I'm just happy. No one but me can control my heart. They said this too shall pass. When it went down, I never thought I'd get back, and now I'm here. I have no fear. I got my shit together, and you've been missing out, boy. Look at the waist. You wanna taste? Come eat the cake. You gotta chase. She got game. Hello, hello, hello. We about to get sexy up in this place.
Pain, pleasure, opposites, they make the world go round. Can't have sunny days without nightfall. We rotating right now. Never get motion sick though. Big boat in the ocean floating. About time we start up the engine. Kick it in high gear, no question. Some opportunities won't come up in this lifetime. So when you see a fine girl, treat her like she's fragile. Always handle with care. Unless you about to hit, then forget about this message and give her that Moby Dick. The way she rocks the vessel back and forth, I'm careful not to get flustered. No SOS, I'm skilled sailing through current. She ushers another. She had a lover, but he lost that. And yet she bounced back. Now he and the fellas catching feelings while she's so relaxed.
I'm happy. I'm feeling free to take control of my life, and I'm just happy. No one but me can control my heart. They said this too shall pass. When it went down, I never thought I'd get back, and now I'm here. I have no fear. I got my shit together, and you've been missing out, boy. Look at the waist.
Slim, thick inside, her body's right. Make a brother say, oh my God.
You wanna taste?
I wanna taste it, the way you shaped. I try not to look and
Come eat the cake.
Give me a portion, you are important to me, and so let me enjoy it.
You gotta chase.
I'll take my chances, I cannot stand it. How could you pass it up?
She got game.
Yeah, so that was She Got Game. We hope you all enjoyed that out there listening, whoever is listening at this time, 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I know it should be like 8 o'clock on the West Coast. So pretty much that wraps it up for this show today. Just some housekeeping or house cleaning. I think it's housekeeping. Well, we're contemplating changing the time of the AVIOT podcast to earlier, around like 8 o'clock in the evenings on Wednesday nights, just because 11 o'clock is definitely late. And if you're on the East Coast, you're probably going to sleep, getting ready for the next day of work. You probably don't have time to be listening to this or even calling in. I never give the call-in number to anybody out there just because there's so much content to talk about. That's usually, Jay Random's usually good at doing that. But we're thinking about changing the time to 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will keep you updated on that via our Facebook page and our Tumblr page. So that's that. Regarding the Chemistry Productions weblog, if you follow that, it's called Tit for Tat. You can find that at chemblog.wordpress.com. That's K3MBLOG.wordpress.com. I was supposed to be putting out an article 2 weeks ago regarding the Me Too movement. I know I'm very behind schedule on that, but it's such a very compact, very what's the word I'm looking for? Very emotional, very long-term, and I'll just say compact movement that I feel I shouldn't rush that article. I should definitely take the time to write it. And because of that, it's definitely delayed my progress in putting that article out. So hopefully I can do it next week. I can have that article next week. Also, I recently took a job being a writer on Medium. So there's a website called medium.com, and it's a website for writers. And I took a job there because I wanted to write content about media in order to educate people and in order to get more traction for Chemistry Productions. I feel that if we are diversifying our outlets and hitting as many streams as possible, that we'll definitely get a following and we'll definitely be able to educate many of you out there about media, especially the teens and the young adults. So that pretty much wraps that up. Ruining Your Faves, we have a segment on our YouTube channel called Ruining Your Faves, and on that what we do is we look at popular media and we pick out themes or we pick out specific things that are said in the media in that popular media, and we just talk about it, we highlight it, and we cover it in more detail. Ruining Your Phase has been on hiatus for a little bit, but it is coming back. Like I said, I just put up a video talking about what happened, why we were gone. Obviously, a lot of it has to do with this cough that I have, and I know my voice sounds crazy. Sometimes I've been pausing during the show, and I apologize for that, but I am trying to get better. It's just very annoying at this moment. So, yeah, definitely expect some more Ruining Your Phase videos. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, definitely check it out. It's you just type in Chemistry Productions, K3MISTRY Productions, and there you'll see a blue hand with a purple heart and a music note. And just click on that, subscribe, and watch our videos. You'll definitely love the Ruining Your Phase segment. On there, I tend to be a little bit more wild and a little bit more out of the box, especially with the animations and everything like that. And also, you can hear playbacks of this podcast on the YouTube channel as well. We also have a segment called A Skip Through Time, where we talk about important feats in history regarding media entities and regarding media in general. There's 2 videos up on that. The next video is going to be talking about a brief history of Hollywood, and I think that should be pretty interesting. So definitely check out our YouTube channel and look up Chemistry Productions. We're definitely out there, and we're going to be here for a long, long time. Thank you for tuning into this podcast tonight. We're going to end a little bit early. I know it runs 30 minutes, but, hey, we got like 2 minutes and some change left. So thank you for tuning into this podcast, and we will see you next week.